cultural heritage has had many influences. The villagers of Newhalen and Iliamna are boundaries of 3 Alaskan Native cultural groups. Dena'ina Athabascans have traditionally occupied the upper portion of Iliamna Lake, while the lower portion of the lake has historically been inhabited by people of Yupik or Aleut origin. The cultures have interacted through war and peace. In the first half of the 20th century, the introduction of reindeer herding to southwest Alaska has also brought a genealogical connection to Bethel area villages. Because of these movements of people, Newhalen today has a mixture of culture and tradition.
This is the stories that the old folks, my old folks from New Dalton used to tell us, that the Eskimos and the Indians used to have wars between the Eskimos, or they called themselves Aleuts, down Naknek and down the Bristol Bay area. So this is what they used to tell us, that they were having wars over the country, the land, where they can get more food. Right from Kijik village there, they came up there and had a war up there, and they captured a young girl from Kijik village and took her back down to wherever Naknek or Naknek River, or wherever the village was at that time, and raised her as a regular child. And she grew up to be a woman. That's the great-grandmother of Louise and Sava Anilan. They kind of kept her away from the rest of the people, you know. But the story that when she escaped from the village there, from Naknek village, with the help of another old Eskimo lady. They used to tell her, she walked all the way from Naknek to Kujak River, and she crossed Kujak River with a drift log, big drift log, pushed it out in the river and drifted across the river, and from there walked all the way back to Kijik. They prepared to declare a war from here to Naknek. They did declare the war from the stories that the old people told us, that it took at least from 2 to 3 years to prepare for this war. This girl that was captured from here and was raised and had children, they found out about this woman that was still living and she had children. So they gave this land, this mouth of Newhalen River here, back to that girl that was captured, her and her children. And that point on, the war ended. Between the whole area, whole Bristol Bay area, and up here. And that's, from there on, they became friends.
The Dena'ina people gave it back to
the
Yupik people?
The Yupik people, you know, of course, they were part of the Indian people from the Newhalen River here. Mm-hmm. So that's the story that was told to us.
Grandma, im nam. Kanan chip hot dog, kanan chew.
At that time, my grandmother's grandfather's mother, on the side of the lake, across on Iliamna Lake, not too far across there, according to my father, the late chief. At that time, they were ice fishing at that location when they were ice fishing along with Tumgok. He caught, there were no seagulls that time. He caught two female king salmon. After he caught all the fish, there was something white swimming around under the ice. He thought to himself, what is that under there? And when it caught on a hook, he jerked it and pulled it out. And when it emerged up out of the ice, it was a seagull making a squawking sound. It stretched out the line upwards and flew around in a circles. He was afraid that the hook would hurt the beak of the seagull, so he pulled it back down and removed the hook. When he removed the hook, the seagull flew east. There was ice and winter and not supposed to be seagulls. The ice was thick. After that, there wasn't much to catch. It started after seagull was caught. I just know this much of the story that my dear mother told me. This is why the people of Newhalen always ended their Eskimo songs with ka-ka, because of the seagull that tumgukak. As soon as the song was done, they ended with ka-ka. When we were young girls, that's how we heard them when they did that. Remember you sing to me and Father one time?
First time first airplane. I heard that making songs.
My mom and dad sang love
First
song.
time, love song.
Up in the air, one that flies. Up in the air, one that flies. With engine in it, if he fly, it's circling. Up in the air, up in the air. That's it.
In an Athabascan way, there's one for an example. This one's so-called the Roadhouse Mountain now. Before the white man came, it was named Uchatolu. Uchatolu meant, if I had explained to you in English, it would have meant the enemy's mountain. They claimed the enemies used to climb that mountain or to see where their target or where they might attack, to give them an idea. More likely where the smoke comes from, or more likely if there's some boating in the lake. They had a better view of it. Of course, they didn't have any binoculars, like it got a good way of spotting them. But okay. But okay. Iliamna Lake was also was named under the Athabascan. And it is called in Maun, the Naina way at Athabascan is Newhalen. Newhalen means, the Ni means island. Vana means lake, an island lake. That's what they kind of the islands in there. They name it after that. Newhalen is an island lake. But what mispronounced right now, in English, is like Iliamna. Almost sound like the not Iliamna. But my grandpa used to tell me why. I asked the question, why did you name it? So he said, you take Iliamna Lake. It's a lake, but there's also islands in there.
Yeah.
There's not too many lakes you see with that many islands in there, so they name it. I think they're pretty good at how they name things. And I thought.
Once there was a couple of grandparents, a grandfather and a grandmother raising their grandson. They lived in the mouth of the river. The grandma raised the grandson. They lived alone. They did not know anybody around. And as he grew up, his grandma showed him different things, like picking berries, hunting ptarmigan, and muskrats. He asked his grandfather, "Have you seen any other people around?" "No," he said, "but over there my older sister lives. If you go over there, you will see them." So he wanted to see who she was. And he picked up some grub. For his journey he traveled along the beach. And he came to a settlement and he stood by a small building aside from where the people hardly go. Then after a time when someone was packing water, the brother, older brother of the son, he said, "You're a stranger, you must be hungry, come, we'll go to my house and eat." And he brought him back to his house. He saw the old lady who was the sister of the grandmother. He asked her, and she said, "Yeah, I'm the younger sister of your grandfather." And he said, "Why did you come?" "I'm looking for a wife." Across there is a little house with a young lady in it. She has no husband. So he went over to check her. He went in and asked her. She said, "What do you want?" He didn't recognize him. And he said, "I come to get you. I'm not going with you," she said. And he was speechless, so he left. And he went to his grandma and told her. And the grandma said, "If she's lazy, there's a dog outside that's not too big. Go out and kill it and bring the skin and bring it back." And he went out and killed the dog and he brought it into his grandma and showed it to her and said, "What do you want me to do with the skin? The skin that's..." And she said, "Take the skin to the young lady that was lazy. And if she's lazy, ask him again. Put the skin on her head and leave her as fast as possible." So he went across again to see the young lady and tell him, "I come to get you." And she said, "No, I'm not coming with you." And he said, "If you're lazy, stay there." And he took the the skin and put it over her head and hurry up and left the house. And a little while later the dog followed him as he walked. And he went back to the grandma and told him, and the dog was with him, and she said, go over the dog while it's quiet and rub the nose and remove the skin from him. And he took the skin off, and he told him, the next time if you leave here, if you refuse, you'll wear the skin forever. And then she was naked, and the grandma told the grandson to go to the shack and pick up a sack, gunny sack, and then go to the river with a bucket and get some water. And the grandma told him when she come back to wash her. And he took the bucket and poured it over her head. And then she put the clothes on him. And from that time they returned home with the grandma. And they reached the place. She became his wife, and they lived happily ever after. This is how long the story is.